Hello, welcome once again to Leto's Law. I'm Steve Leto. I posted a video a while back called Brake Checking is Illegal. Brake checking is illegal. And that's the idea that someone's driving down the road and they get angry or upset with somebody else. And so what they do is they get in front of the person and then they let the distance close and then they stomp on their brakes. So the person in front stomps on their brakes to force the person back into a panic stop. And they stomp on their brakes even harder because it's a natural instinct. And quite often you'll see these things that will unfold afterwards where there are accidents, one car accidents, two car accidents. I've seen it before where the car in front, gets away cleanly and the car in back, tumbles out of control or hits a guardrail or runs into a ditch. And I've seen accidents caused by brake checking that was captured on videotape by dash cams. So that's how we know about this stuff more in detail than we used to. But, everyone's heard about this before where somebody gets angry at somebody else, they cut in front of them and stomp on their brakes, brake check. So I did a video where I said brake checking is illegal. Now, one of the most common things that happens in all my videos is people like to argue with me. And I don't mind arguing. I mean, I'm not running an argument clinic here, or am I? But the point is that I don't mind discussing things with people. And a lot of times I'll post a video and occasionally I'll miss something obvious and people say, Steve, what about this? Or occasionally I'll say something people really disagree with and say, Steve, I see what you're saying, but I think this. And usually it's not phrased that nicely. But the interesting thing about brake checking is I had several people say this in comments and emails. And one of them was sent to me by a guy named James, and I'll leave it at that. And it was sent to me in response to the brake checking is illegal video, which is episode 5.164. And by the way, season 6 is coming up. I got it marked in my calendar. That's another story altogether. And James asks, he says, Steve, I'm just curious. If you have someone tailgating you and you see a small animal run in front of you, having to perform a brake check to avoid the animal, can you be held responsible for the damage incurred? And so in my video, I'd said, if you pull in front of somebody, stomp on your brakes and do a brake check, if you cause harm doing that, you could be held liable for that. It could be careless driving, reckless driving, and it could be all kinds of other things. If someone dies, it might be a form of homicide. Seriously, some form of manslaughter, but I'm just talking about hypotheticals. What could happen, okay? Every case is going to be different. Every story is going to be different. Every incident is going to be different. Not all cases are the same. But what he's getting at here is he goes, if you have some tailgating and you see, and he puts the word see in quotes, implying that there actually is no small animal running in front of the car. And I had several people say, Steve, if someone upset me and I pulled a brake check on them and they crashed their car, but they had a video camera, dash cam, and they recorded me and got my license plate. And the police showed up and said, hey, we've got proof that you brake checked this person, caused all kinds of harm and so on. We're thinking about ticketing you for that. I've had people say, Steve, all I do is go, oh, a cat ran in front of my car. Therefore, boom, I win. And there's two problems with that. Only two? I'll stick to two. There's two problems with that. One is people often will say in response to any legal scenario I give, they'll give a hypothetical response and go, there, I win, because I have an answer that could work. And what you have there is an answer, like I said, that could work. And you're confusing your defense with the idea that you will win. So in other words, let's suppose a cat actually did run in front of your car. Cat ran in front of your car. You instinctively stomped on your brakes. Guy behind you hit his brakes. He spun wildly out of control. And some witnesses said, guy in the front did a brake check. Guy in the car spun wildly out of control. Goes, yeah, this guy was harassing me for miles. Did that. And you produced a dash cam. And the dash cam shows a cat running in front of your car and running back out. That doesn't mean the police can't arrest you, that they can't ticket you. It means the police would go, oh, well, that's your defense then. See you in court. You have a defense. There's no guarantee you're going to win just because you have a defense. And people raise it all the time. I've had other stories where I said, here's what would happen to you most likely if this happened. You could be charged with this. And I had people say, oh, but I've got a defense. Boom. And they say, the story they'd make up. A cat darted in front of me. I have a defense, therefore I win. No. That means that you might get to tell that story to a jury, assuming as a defendant that you want to take the stand. Do you want to take a stand? Most attorneys will tell you don't want to take the stand in your own defense. Very rarely works out well. But let's suppose you actually get on the stand and say, a cat ran in front of my car. Okay? A jury would then listen to all the witnesses, listen to the jury instructions, listen to the judge, and go back in the jury room, throw everything out the window that I just told you about, and they'd pick a winner. They might like you, they might like the other guy. They might dislike you. They might go, that doesn't matter. We don't like that guy. But the point is that you have a defense. Doesn't mean your defense is going to work, okay? But the other bigger problem, and he did say, suppose you see a small animal, okay? Let's assume that the C is not in quotes, that you actually did see a small animal. You really saw it, let's say it's a cat. Let's say it's a dachshund. It's a wiener dog, okay? You see the noblest of dogs, a wiener dog. And the wiener dog's got tiny little legs, and it runs out into traffic, and it's directly in front of your car. And your car is low enough to where you cannot go over the wiener dog. Okay? You have no choice. So you stomp on your brakes to avoid running over the wiener dog. And you cause the car behind you to spin wildly out of control, cartwheeling, bodies being ejected, limbs everywhere, death on the highway. Good film. So now you go to court. And by the way, you've got the videotape. There actually were other videotapes, dash cams. For some odd reason, this was like filmed in almost like a Matrix totality of filming. They got it from every single angle. There's no question. The noble wiener dog had waddled out into traffic, and you had to do the brake check to avoid running over the wiener dog. These facts are so well documented, they are not in dispute. Guess what? Jury's going to look at you and go, which is more important, that wiener dog or the person behind you? And they could do that. So you have a defense. Your defense is, I hit my brakes for what I believe to be a good reason. And the court's going to say, you know something? They're going to start throwing terms around like what's reasonable. What's a reasonable person do? What's a reasonably prudent driver do? And it depends on the state you're in as to which standard they're going to hold you to. But they're going to hold you to the standard that a reasonably prudent driver, or words to that effect, would take in the circumstances, taking everything into account. And into account, you must take two facts. In front of you, a wiener dog. Behind you, a human being. And so when you get on the stand and go, I had to hit the brakes so as not to run over the noble wiener dog. What about the guy behind you who's a human being? You're actually going to suggest that the jury should go, wiener dog, human being. You know, kill the guy behind you, save the dog. I actually know somebody who was the passenger in a car. And ironically, it was a blue car. 3 people will understand that. And she owned the car, but she let her friend drive the car. So her friend was driving, she was in the passenger seat. They're driving out in the country on a road that does this kind of thing. And at one point in time, they came around a curve a little bit too fast, small car. And a turkey ran in front of the car. No other cars around, but a turkey. Now, if you've seen wild turkeys, and I see them almost every morning because the route I run or bike in the morning is on a dirt road, and I run by a farm, and there's a big field there. The turkeys love this field. I don't know why. Haven't asked them, but it's turkeys that love this field. Turkeys are large birds, okay? And they are majestic creatures. Not as majestic as the majestic wiener dog, but they're majestic nonetheless. Large birds, though. And so the driver of the car saw the turkey run in front of the car and cranked the wheel. And he managed to crank the wheel in such a way that he put the car into a ditch and it rolled over. And someone called the police. And a state trooper showed up. The state trooper showed up and the car had to be winched out of a ditch. And everyone is okay. Wearing seatbelts, scrapes, bumps, and bruises, that kind of thing. And the state trooper was asking these people, what happened? Because generally speaking, a lot of times, one-car accidents like that involve alcohol, oftentimes, or other weirdness. And the driver said, I swerved to avoid hitting a turkey. And the trooper asked the passenger, is that true? And she goes, yeah, it's a turkey. And the trooper leaned over and he goes, next time, kill the turkey. So you understand, the small animal in front of you that you think gives you license to brake check the guy behind you, whether it's imaginary or not, Doesn't matter. The point is that you still would be required to do that math in your head, do the equation, do the algebra, do the whatever you want to call it. Who said there's going to be math in this video? The idea is you have to look at it and go, would a jury, because that's who you might be in front of, would a jury buy this and go, yes, it was reasonable for you to stomp on your brakes to save that shrew? I've actually had a shrew run across the road in front of me. A little rodent about that big. To save a small animal at the peril of the people in a car behind you, you're going to have a tough sell on that one. And you better hope you pick a really, really good jury if that's where it goes. So brake checking is still illegal. Questions, comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later.